What if one Christmas day, two innocent children unknowingly played matchmaker? What if a simple meeting at a park turned a lonely billionaire and a humble class teacher into soulmates? And what secret moment made them fall in love in just 3 months? This heartwarming Christmas story proves that love can find you when you least expect it, through laughter, innocence, and destiny itself. Stay tuned till the end to witness how two 7-year-olds changed their parents' lives forever. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss more beautiful, inspirational love stories like this. The air was crisp and filled with the scent of roasted corn and cinnamon. The Lagos park adorned with sparkling fairy lights, tinsel, and little Christmas decorations dangling from every tree branch. Children ran around, their laughter mixing with the soft melody of carols echoing from a nearby speaker. It was the perfect Christmas afternoon, except for two parents, each carrying the quiet weight of their own lonely lives. Desmond Adeyemi, billionaire CEO and devoted single father, sat on a polished wooden bench, watching his 7-year-old son, Daniel, chase a bright red football across the grass. Desmond's tailored suit made him stand out among the casually dressed parkgoers. But there was something about the way he smiled at his son that softened his otherwise commanding presence. He had wealth, power, and influence, but his heart had been missing something ever since losing his wife years ago. Across the park, Amaka, a slim, creamy-skinned class teacher, laid out a small mat under a towering tree, carefully unpacking snacks and treats for her daughter, Evelyn. Amaka was a woman of quiet elegance. Her life had been a delicate balance of teaching, nurturing her daughter, and keeping hope alive despite the struggles of raising a child alone. Evelyn, full of energy and curiosity, ran ahead, her tiny feet crunching over the grass as she explored the decorations with wide-eyed wonder. Fate intervened when Daniel's football rolled straight toward Evelyn. She caught it with both hands, her laughter bright and pure. "Is this yours?" she asked, looking up at him. Daniel nodded, his shy smile widening. "Do you want to play with me?" Evelyn grinned. Yes. Within moments, the two children were running through the park, playing tag, kicking the ball back and forth, and sharing giggles that echoed like Christmas bells. Desmond and Amaka, who had been observing from a distance, finally exchanged smiles. As Daniel and Evelyn continued to chase the ball across the park, their laughter echoing like tiny bells, the adults finally allowed themselves to move closer. Desmond rose from the polished wooden bench, adjusting his tailored suit as he stepped lightly over the dew-kissed grass. His eyes never left Daniel, but something about the laughter of the little girl tugged at his attention. Amaka, holding a small basket of snacks, stood as well, gently calling Evelyn back for a moment. "Sweetie, let's take a little break," she said, her voice calm yet firm. Evelyn obeyed reluctantly, skipping over to her mother while occasionally glancing back at Daniel with bright, pleading eyes. Desmond approached slowly, careful not to startle them, and stopped a few feet away. There was a brief pause, a moment suspended in the crisp Christmas air. Amaka noticed him then, really noticed him. For the first time, the expensive suit and polished shoes were obvious, yes, but the way he moved, the way his eyes softened when he looked at his son, the easy confidence in his posture. It drew her in. "Hi," Desmond said, his voice low but warm, a polite smile tugging at his lips. "I'm Desmond. That's my son, Daniel." Amaka smiled, setting the snack basket down on the mat. "I'm Amaka," she replied, extending a hand. "And this little bundle of energy is Evelyn." Their hands met, a simple touch, yet it felt charged, unexpectedly comforting. Desmond noticed the delicate warmth of her hand, the gentle firmness in her grip, and it made him feel grounded, something he hadn't experienced in years. "Your daughter has quite the aim," he said with a hint of humor, nodding toward Evelyn, who was now bouncing the ball lightly in her hands. Amaka chuckled, a light, musical sound that seemed to make the air shimmer. "And your son has quite the energy," she replied, her eyes twinkling. "I think they'll be fast friends." Encouraged by the children's obvious joy, Desmond stepped closer, lowering himself slightly to speak at their level. "Do you come to the park often during Christmas?" he asked, a touch of curiosity in his tone. "Every year," Amaka said. "It's a tradition. Evelyn loves the lights, the music, and, of course, the roasted corn." She smiled, brushing a loose strand of hair behind her ear. "What about you?" "First time this year," Desmond admitted, a small laugh escaping him. "I usually keep busy with work, but Daniel insisted, and I'm glad he did." His gaze lingered on her for a heartbeat longer than necessary, catching her attention. Amaka felt a subtle warmth in her chest, a flutter that made her smile involuntarily. "I'm glad he did too," she said softly. For a moment, neither spoke, the children now playing a few steps away, their laughter forming the perfect background to this unexpected meeting. The space between them seemed smaller now, charged with curiosity, recognition, and something unspoken. A connection that neither had expected but both felt. Desmond offered a small, sincere smile. "Would you maybe like to join us for some snacks?" Daniel would love the company. Amaka hesitated only for a second, then nodded. "We'd love that." And with that simple exchange, they finally stepped fully into each other's space, leaving behind the distance, the polite nods, and the guarded hearts. The first real conversation began. Not about wealth, status, or the busy lives they led, but about children, laughter, and the unexpected magic of a Christmas afternoon. It was a meeting neither of them would forget. A spark ignited by children, nurtured by kindness, and sealed with a smile that promised the start of something extraordinary. Desmond noticed how effortlessly Amaka spoke, her voice calm and kind, the way she laughed at Daniel and Evelyn's antics, her eyes warm and attentive. Amaka, in turn, saw beyond Desmond's expensive suit and polished shoes. She saw a father who adored his son, a man who had learned patience, gentleness, and love in the quiet moments of life. As the afternoon faded into evening, the children shared snacks on the mat, talking excitedly about meeting again. Daniel tugged at his father's hand, whispering, "Daddy, can Evelyn come play with me again tomorrow?" Desmond smiled, a warmth filling his chest he hadn't felt in years. "Well, see," he replied softly. Evelyn tugged at her mother's hand, eyes sparkling. "Mummy, I like Uncle Desmond. He's nice." Amaka's heart skipped a beat, and she couldn't help but smile. Something about this man felt different, safe, genuine, and comforting. And so, on that magical Christmas day, a simple meeting in a park set in motion a chain of events that neither parent could have imagined. An encounter that would bring laughter, love, and the promise of a new family. The day after their first magical meeting, Daniel and Evelyn couldn't stop talking about each other. At school, Daniel's excitement bubbled over as he recounted every detail of the park. The ball, the laughter, the way Evelyn had chased it with such energy. Evelyn, meanwhile, couldn't stop drawing little pictures of the park and gifting them to her mother, insisting that one of them was for Uncle Desmond. Back home, Daniel tugged at his father's sleeve. "Daddy, can Evelyn come over tomorrow, please?" Desmond chuckled, ruffling his son's hair. "If your mother can manage it, why not? But make sure you both behave." Meanwhile, Amaka smiled at Evelyn's insistence. "You really like Daniel, don't you?" Evelyn nodded, eyes twinkling. "He's fun, and his daddy is nice too. I think they should be friends with Mummy." It wasn't long before the children began scheming, in their innocent way, to make their parents spend more time together. Daniel would suggest longer walks in the park. Evelyn would insist on sharing her favorite snacks with him. The children invited each other over for playdates, making sure that their parents always ended up sitting together, sharing stories over tea, or watching their children play. Desmond found himself looking forward to these visits more than he expected. Amaka's presence was calming, her laughter genuine, her conversations engaging. There was something about the way she watched Daniel and Evelyn interact. A quiet patience, a warmth that made him feel at home for the first time in years. Amaka, too, began noticing the small gestures. Desmond's attentiveness, the way he laughed at her jokes, and the kindness he showed not just to Daniel but to Evelyn as well. She felt a connection forming, subtle at first but undeniable. One rainy afternoon, the children convinced their parents to have a small indoor picnic. They laid out blankets in the living room, shared sandwiches, and told stories. Daniel whispered to Evelyn, "I think my daddy likes your mummy." Evelyn giggled and nodded. "Mine too." Watching from across the blankets, Desmond and Amaka caught each other's eyes and smiled, a silent understanding passing between them. It was as if the children's innocent matchmaking had opened a door that neither of them had expected to walk through. Over the next few weeks, the children's efforts continued, art projects exchanged, mini football matches organized, and countless afternoons spent laughing together. Slowly, the parents grew closer, their friendship blossoming into something more. Dinner invitations became routine, short messages turned into long phone calls, and the simple joy of seeing each other's smiles became the highlight of their days. By the time the first month had passed, both Desmond and Amaka realized that what had started as a polite acquaintance, encouraged by two determined 7-year-olds, was quickly becoming a deep, genuine affection. And neither of them had the heart to deny it. It was clear, Daniel and Evelyn had not just found a friend in each other. They had become the little matchmakers who were quietly, yet powerfully, shaping their parents' hearts. The festive season continued to cast its magic over Lagos. Christmas lights twinkled in every window, carols filled the streets, and the cool December breeze carried the scent of roasted nuts and sweet pastries. But inside the hearts of Desmond and Amaka, a different kind of warmth was slowly spreading, one that neither wealth nor routine could provide. By now, Daniel and Evelyn were inseparable. Every morning, they insisted on meeting at the park, dragging their parents along under one pretense or another. Desmond found himself laughing more than he had in years, while Amaka noticed how his eyes softened when he watched the children play. One particular Saturday, the children had planned a small Christmas-themed treasure hunt. Evelyn hid tiny chocolates under trees and in flower beds, while Daniel had secretly hidden a small handmade card for Amaka, decorated with stickers and glitter, knowing she would find it during the hunt. As the treasure hunt progressed, Desmond and Amaka found themselves walking side by side, watching the children dart across the grass. Desmond, his usual composed self now slightly disarmed, chuckled. "Your daughter has quite the imagination. I think she's teaching my son how to plan missions." Amaka laughed, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. "And your son seems to be learning how to follow orders perfectly. They make quite the team." Their conversation flowed effortlessly, moving from the children to shared interests, favorite books, and holiday memories. Desmond realized how easy it was to talk to her, how naturally he could be himself. Amaka felt a flutter in her chest every time he smiled, every time he offered a kind word or gently teased her. As the sun dipped lower, painting the sky with hues of gold and pink, Daniel tugged at his father's sleeve. "Daddy, we found all the treasures." Evelyn ran to her mother, waving a small box. "Look, Mummy, we did it." Desmond and Amaka smiled at each other, the joy of the children reflecting the quiet happiness stirring between them. Without words, they acknowledged it. Something had shifted. Their bond was no longer just friendship. Over the next few weeks, they began spending more time together outside of playdates. Short lunch meetings turned into coffee dates into long evening walks. They discovered shared values: family, kindness, and the desire to give their children a happy, loving environment. One evening, while walking home after a dinner with the children, a gentle rain began to fall. Desmond offered Amaka his jacket, and she laughed softly, accepting it. They hurried under a nearby awning, sharing the small, intimate space. "You know," Desmond said, his voice low but sincere, "I haven't felt this, right, in a long time." Amaka looked up at him, her eyes reflecting the soft glow of streetlights. "Neither have I," she admitted. "It feels like everything's falling into place." And it was, thanks to two little children who had unknowingly guided them. Two hearts that had been guarded for years were beginning to open. What started as a playful Christmas meeting had now ignited a spark, one that promised warmth, love, and a future neither Desmond nor Amaka had imagined, but both secretly hoped for. By January, Lagos had shed its Christmas sparkle, But the magic between Desmond and Amaka had only grown stronger. What had begun as polite smiles and shared stories now felt like a rhythm, comfortable, familiar, and filled with quiet excitement. Every meeting, every phone call, every laugh shared over their children's antics deepened the bond between them. Daniel and Evelyn, blissfully unaware of the adult emotions they had stirred, continued their playful schemes. One morning, Evelyn whispered to Daniel during breakfast, "Daddy and Mummy always smile when they talk to each other. Do you think they like each other?" Daniel grinned. "I think they really do. We did a good job, didn't we?" Meanwhile, Desmond found himself eagerly awaiting Amaka's messages, reading her updates about school and her day multiple times. The weight of his boardroom decisions seemed lighter, and even his work felt more meaningful with the knowledge that Amaka and the children were part of his life. Amaka, too, noticed subtle changes in herself. She laughed more freely, allowed herself moments of indulgence, and found joy in sharing daily life with Desmond. He wasn't just a successful businessman. He was a gentle, attentive partner, a father who adored his son, and a man who made her feel seen. One weekend, Desmond invited Amaka and Evelyn over to his villa for lunch. Daniel ran ahead, eager to show Evelyn the Christmas decorations he had secretly helped install indoors. Amaka admired the tastefully modern interiors, gleaming marble floors, soft neutral tones accented with warm wood, and subtle Christmas touches that made the space feel cozy rather than ostentatious. As they settled down to lunch, Daniel and Evelyn began exchanging playful banter, their laughter filling the room. Desmond watched Amaka laugh at one of Evelyn's jokes, and something inside him shifted. He realized he didn't just enjoy her company, he cherished it. After lunch, they decided to take a walk in the villa's private garden. The late afternoon sun bathed the greenery in golden light, casting long shadows that danced with the breeze. Desmond and Amaka walked side by side, their hands brushing occasionally, sending sparks through both of them. "Amaka," Desmond began, his voice calm but earnest, "I know this is fast, but I feel like we've known each other much longer than 3 months." Amaka smiled softly, meeting his gaze. "I feel the same. Natural, somehow. Comfortable, like it's meant to be." The children, sensing a quiet moment, ran ahead to chase butterflies, leaving the two adults alone under the garden's archway. The sun dipped lower, painting the sky in shades of amber and rose, as if nature itself were celebrating their connection. Desmond took a small step closer. "I want us to be more than just this. I want us to be a family for the children and for ourselves." Amaka felt her heart swell. "I've wanted that too," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. That afternoon, as they returned to the villa, it was clear. Their love was no longer a gentle spark. It had grown into a steady flame, a love built not just on attraction, but on shared values, laughter, and the little miracles their children had orchestrated. The months ahead promised challenges and adjustments, but both Desmond and Amaka knew one thing for certain. Together, they could face anything, and they would do it hand in hand. And as the children cheered and played around them, it became obvious. This wasn't just a romance. It was the beginning of a true, loving family. February had arrived in Lagos, bringing with it cooler breezes and the soft promise of new beginnings. For Desmond and Amaka, the past 3 months had been a whirlwind of laughter, shared memories, and growing love. What had started as polite encounters orchestrated by their 7-year-old children had blossomed into a deep, heartfelt connection. One evening, Desmond planned something special. He knew that words alone could not capture how much Amaka meant to him, nor how grateful he was for the way she had brought joy back into his and Daniel's lives. He called Amaka with a casual suggestion. "Amaka, would you like to come over tonight? Daniel and Evelyn want to show you a little surprise they've prepared," he said. Curious and smiling, Amaka agreed, unaware of the real surprise waiting for her. That evening, Desmond's villa was softly lit with fairy lights and candles. The children had helped decorate the living room with hand-drawn hearts and stars, glittered ornaments, and tiny paper chains. The atmosphere was warm and intimate, a perfect blend of homey charm and festive magic. Daniel and Evelyn eagerly led their parents to the center of the room. "Close your eyes, Mummy," Evelyn whispered, tugging at Amaka's hand. Amaka laughed but obeyed. When she opened her eyes, she gasped softly. The children had arranged a path of rose petals leading to the villa's balcony, where Desmond was waiting, holding a small, elegant box. The view of Lagos shimmered under the evening lights, adding a magical backdrop to the moment. "Amaka," Desmond began, his voice steady but full of emotion. "These past few months have been the happiest of my life. You've brought joy, warmth, and love not just to me, but to Daniel. I've watched you care for Evelyn and see how naturally our children have bonded. And through it all, I realized something very important. I don't want to imagine my life without you in it." He knelt on one knee, opening the small box to reveal a delicate ring that sparkled under the soft light. "Will you marry me, Amaka? Will you let me love you and our children every single day for the rest of our lives?" Tears welled up in Amaka's eyes as she looked down at the man who had slowly become her anchor and her heart. "Yes, yes, Desmond," she whispered, her voice trembling with joy. Daniel and Evelyn cheered and ran to hug them both, giggling and jumping with excitement. "We did it," Daniel exclaimed. "We brought you two together." Amaka laughed through her tears. "You two really are the best matchmakers ever." Desmond stood, pulling Amaka close. "No, my loves," he said, looking at the children. "We're all in this together. We're a family now, and this is just the beginning of our story." The night was filled with laughter, hugs, and quiet moments of reflection. Desmond and Amaka walked hand in hand on the balcony, watching the city lights twinkle below. It felt surreal yet perfectly real, the sense of destiny, of hearts finding each other, and of two families uniting into one. In that moment, they knew their love wasn't just for themselves. It was for Daniel and Evelyn, for the joy they had sparked, and for the life they would now build together, one filled with love, laughter, and countless Christmases ahead. 3 months after that magical Christmas afternoon in the park, the day Desmond and Amaka had dreamed of arrived, their wedding day. Lagos sparkled under the bright December sun, as if celebrating the love that had blossomed so quickly but so genuinely. The venue was a modern Nigerian villa, tastefully decorated with soft lights, fresh flowers, and hints of Christmas decor, paying homage to the day their story began. Family and friends gathered, laughter and music filling the air, while Daniel and Evelyn stood proudly as the children who had brought their parents together. Desmond, in a sleek tailored suit, waited at the altar, a mix of anticipation and joy lighting up his face. When Amaka appeared, radiant in a simple yet elegant gown, his heart skipped. She looked ethereal, her creamy skin glowing under the sunlight, and in that moment, he knew he would never let her go. As they exchanged vows, the sincerity in their eyes reflected not just love, but gratitude for each other, for the children, and for the unexpected twist of fate that had brought them together. Daniel and Evelyn giggled behind them, whispering that they had done a good job, their little hearts proud. After the ceremony, the family celebrated with music, dancing, and heartfelt toasts. Friends remarked on how natural Desmond and Amaka were together, how the children had seamlessly become a part of both of their lives, and how the love in the room felt genuine and unshakable. That night, as the city lights shimmered below the villa, Desmond held Amaka close. "We've come a long way," he murmured. "Yes," Amaka replied, resting her head on his chest. "And the best part is, we have each other, and the children, our little family." Daniel and Evelyn, tired but happy, fell asleep that night knowing that the magic they had sparked was real. What started as a chance meeting in a park had grown into something extraordinary. A united family filled with love, laughter, and hope. And so, the billionaire CEO, the devoted class teacher, and their two spirited children stepped into their future together, proof that sometimes, the pure hearts of children can guide even the most guarded adults to love, happiness, and destiny. Have you ever wondered, can the laughter of two little children really change the course of two lonely hearts? Can a simple day in the park lead a billionaire CEO and a devoted class teacher to find true love? Meet Daniel and Evelyn, two 7-year-olds who had no idea that their friendship would spark a love story neither of their parents saw coming. From a chance Christmas meeting to secret playdates, little surprises, and heartfelt moments. Watch how these innocent children became matchmakers, bringing together two hearts destined for each other. In just 3 months, what started as friendship turned into love, a proposal, and finally, a magical wedding that united their families forever. Join us to witness this heartwarming story of love, family, and destiny. Like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss more inspiring love stories.